We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this
time. Welcome to a dark place, far, far away, where the only language spoken is Supercoach. Welcome to the Phantom's Lair.
The band is back together for one night, in brackets, day only. This is the Phantom speaking. Welcome to an OG edition of the Phantom's Lair podcast. Our Peyton and his crew from Melbourne are off this week. The Lair is taking over, breaking even with our Peyton. We're going to answer all your Supercoach questions ahead of Gather Round, but to do that, I've brought back the founding members of the Phantom's Lair to the three of the four of us here in the studio once again, and backed by popular demand, the hipster, Matt Turner.
Unpopular demand, I think, if anything.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that my pass into the Lair room still works. You didn't remove my key pass to get into this room. Probably our 11th different room we've used over the 6 or 7, 8 seasons, however many we've been doing it now.
And now the true OG of the advertiser, Supercoach behemoth that it is now.
The doyen, really.
Yeah, the doyen is a good word. Yep. The Eradicator.
They must be getting desperate. They've wheeled out all the grey-haired old ones for this 1 week where everyone else is missing.
I can talk.
Yeah. Yes, good. It's good to be here. Pity we can't get Mr. Supercoach, get the full band back together, but awesome to be back.
His initials are AI. So can we
get him in?
AI some sort of artificial Supercoach intelligence?
Very good.
At the Phantom SC on X, Craig Uppington. This could be bigger than a Beatles reunion. Compulsive listening.
Bluey.
Thankfully, all four of us are alive, so the Beatles reunion would be more difficult.
We've got plenty to talk about. We're going to go through the HBF Injury Report again, answer all your questions. Ahead of an interesting trade week, but
before
let's catch up.
That we're doing a show. It's on camera, and your face is being revealed here. This is like, what's going on?
We had to take the next step. Of course, we are on the Code Sports YouTube channel. If you're not on there now, get on there, check it out, subscribe, let us know what you think. We've taken it to another level. Yeah. The Lair, where we started, we've come a long way. No hiding.
No,
anymore.
It's good. I'd say it opened its up opportunities. That's great. Yeah. But I did see the episode. I haven't watched all the episodes, but I did see the reveal episode. And I feel like you just undercooked that completely. Like years of the Phantom being a mystery to the reveal. And I was like, you didn't even hardly mention it.
No.
It was like it didn't even happen.
Skipped over, if anything. It's like AFLX. It's just like brushed over. Didn't happen.
Like, what are you doing? That was like, people have been waiting for years. They finally see your face. And it's like, there's nothing.
No, look, I'm with you.
I'm not bigger than the people.
No, you're probably not. But exactly, not what you say off camera.
How is Supercoach going? I do want to say something quickly. We had a catch up round 1. Hadn't seen the Eradicator in a while. Had a bit of a quieter preseason. Plenty going. As if you are a long time listener, international best-selling author, the Eradicator. So plenty going in. But what happened after round 1? Put in less Supercoach research than all of us, beat us in round 1 after 4 weeks. How is the team looking?
Look, it's had a quite apparent course correction after a really good start, but I was treating it like B grade amateur league and just sort of coming out Thursday school session the night they do the first teams.
Yep.
The night before round 1 basically. So total cheat of the year, and I really feel like when I listen to the podcast, I go, there's no way I would have the knowledge to be going on there this year doing the preseason you guys did. So I was like, I was smiling when I saw that I was ahead of just about everybody on 6,000 spots. But I've tapered back to about 16,000 overall now. But I feel like I should be going all right. Yeah. But the starting team was there, and I basically rode the coattails of all their research in the preseason, essentially.
Interesting. Obviously, a lot of Supercoaches in that boat. Interested in getting your thoughts on where to go to now. Interesting week heading in back to the best 22 scoring. So plenty to discuss, but Hipster, The fans
Best
have called
22, best 23. Yeah. I can't even remember anymore.
Flex have had a new position again since we've been back together. Flex
Just kicks one out. Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah,
Speaking of flex, there's been a bloke in here who's flexed his muscles. Now, he is becoming a new fan favourite. 5 names. You crowned him that name. He's taken over. He's taken over the Pew Pew segment, shooting from the hip. Unique names with 5 names.
Well, he's in the Lair for a start. He's on the podcast for a start. Hard for me to do it when I'm not here.
Now, we've been talking about for about a month now. We had a listener comment, should this 5 names give Hipster left, right, good night when he saw him next. Haven't seen you for 5 weeks since then, so you're okay. He didn't clock you behind the play.
No.
Anything to say to your good friend? Are you liking his work?
The left, right, good night guy? Or?
5 names.
5 names. No, he's a perfect, it's the perfect time for 5 names to take over the podcast. He's at the right point in his Supercoach life, his career. You told me some of these buttons. One of them was to shut me up. One of them was to fasten me up. Which one is that? What am I meant to say after that?
That's a modern age shooting from the hip. Pew pew, as the Eradicator first said.
Okay. Well,
you do have something to say to him though. You do want to make.
Do I? I remember this.
Big preseason
call
I do have
you
something
made.
to say.
A lot of footy people would remember the Sam McClure comments in the lead up to the 2023 draft around Harley Reid, where on his podcast with Mitch Cleary famously said about West Coast and Harley Reid, they're not going to pick him, Mitch. They're not. And of course, Harley Reid goes to West Coast and becomes a West Australian newspaper phenomenon.
Yeah.
Very similar language was used by 5 names this pre-season around one of my selections. You're not going to pick Riley Thilthorpe. You're not going to.
That did happen.
I won't do the accent, but you're not going to pick Riley Thilthorpe. And
did you pick him?
I picked him, and it's just, look.
Averaging 105 after 4 rounds.
Wow.
What did he cost again?
Start of the year, $370K.
Would he, look, maybe there's, who's the highest ranking player, the highest averaging player that started under 200K at the moment? Do you know off the top of your head?
Under 200K?
I'm just saying, if there's no one that's averaging 85 or 90 that started under 200K, then he's probably has to be the best bang for his buck player in the competition.
Rookies aside, you've got your Riley Biases and Nathan O'Driscoll.
Sorry.
Push that.
Bias. Yep.
But your mid-price bracket, 200 plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Have to be.
Sam Darcy as well in that conversation. Got a few questions about him. Similar.
Yes.
Next generation key
Similar
forward.
players too, really. Just these tall guys that can pluck it over guys' heads who are very good runners. Next gen athletes. I actually wrote a little piece in our lowdown this week about can Riley Thilthorpe, is he a sneaky Coleman medal chance? It sounds ridiculous for a bloke whose most goals he kicked in a year was 18. He's only played 57 games. He's only 22 years old. But if Adelaide's going to be this high-octane, high-scoring team, we saw Tex get pretty close in 2023. I think he came second that year. Thilthorpe is playing so well. And it's not just this season. He played so well at the end of last season. I've thrown it out there as a, what if? And it's that sort of selection has probably propelled me to where I am because I started 80,000th after one round. My interest...
you were about to throw it away. Again, not the levels of not talking to us for 12 weeks again.
Quite differently, though. I was about to throw it away before the game, the season started. Not even participate this season. And I haven't even started a couple of leagues that I'm normally in. I forgot to start them. And I feel bad about that in hindsight. But it's just a sort of waning interest, busyness in my own life, letting, the new generation take over, all of that. And then it's what's that bloody Pacino quote that Sim always loves? Like, get drawn out and you get back, drag it back in. And that's what happened with blokes like Thilthorpe and a couple of my other picks going well, that I'm now up from 80,000 into 20,000s. I climbed 20,000 spots last week. I scored 204.4.
Big week, yep.
And, then it's like, oh, God, I don't want to mentally invest in this thing, but it drags you in.
And here he is on the podcast. He's back. And
if I scored 1,800, would I be here? Probably not.
Riley Thilthorpe, the 6th ranked Supercoach forward at the moment, 2.1% of teams.
I think he might have been in 0.7 when I picked him up. But
so I'll take my comments about you back, that you might have sold out a little bit, but you've gone back to your roots and we like it.
Yeah, well, there we go. Anyway.
I think they spent all your appearance budget on their new equipment over here.
That's right.
That's what's going on.
Let's talk about some news. We all know the keys, part of the keys to managing Supercoach are the injuries. Being on top of what's happening is vital to Supercoach success. And this is the Injury Report, proudly brought to you by HBF, your health dream team. Got a few interesting ones, names to mention. Eradicator, we're talking about this off air. Nathan O'Driscoll, we just mentioned, from the Dockers, boom rookie this year. His price has shot up past 300K, was subbed out on the weekend. Reports floating through from the West. He could miss a couple of weeks with that ankle injury. Waiting on official scans, but that has big ramifications for Supercoach. We know...
Ramifications or ramifications?
Ramifications.
Okay. Is ramifications the new Tasmanian Devils mascot?
Ramifications, because we know in this world of boosts and extra trades, 2 weeks is an absolute must trade. But again, with his cash, he's over 300K, 5 names declared, upgrade season open on the Monday, Lair, which could be a bit early, but now you've got some cash to play with. What do you think? 2, if he misses 2, let's say, they come out and officially declare it. What do you think?
It's perfect because I was actually trying to work out who to trade this week and was half in my head trying to justify you're trading him after one bad score, let alone an injury. So no-brainer for me. Like wink, wink, nod, nod, you're gone.
Yep. Working on that one. His teammate,
off the top.
Luke Jackson as well, being a big pod for old Chief Dossie on the Monday, Lair, as well. He's got subbed out too.
What are they saying about Jacko?
He's been ruled out this week, definitely with a hamstring injury. So could they bring Sean Darcy back early? So again, looks like probably a trade with Luke Jackson as well. And maybe it's at the right time given Sean Darcy. Does that push Luke Jackson forward anyway when he returns? So probably trading 2 Dockers there given the news. There is some good news at Melbourne, though. Obviously not Jake Lever, who will miss 8 weeks to add to their issues. The Demons.
Mr. Supercoach would have been devastated if he was here right now. I know that.
Big Jake Lever fan.
Yeah, massive.
But Xavier Lindsay, the rookie price, the cash cow of the week a couple of weeks ago, must trade in, hurt his knee, was subbed out early a couple of weeks ago, listed as a test. So the Ds were cautious, so they were going to be cautious with the draftee, but could play this week. So if you did hold him on the bench, still got some money to make, could return in gather round. Elijah Sardis is another Bombers rookie price player. Speaking of...
Do either of you still have him?
Don't have him. Did you keep him?
Yep.
Well played.
I ditched him.
I ditched him too. A lot of Supercoaches did keep him. So you like this Eradicator. Jai Caldwell being ruled out for at least 2 matches with a hamstring injury. Elijah Sardis ready to go, potentially the step back in there. We know game time was a little bit limited when he was in the team to start the season. Could he get a bigger role? So looking like a good hold.
Yeah. Yeah, it's working out.
Hipster, could you trade someone like that back in? It's been floated. You dumped him. If you were making a rookie trade anyway, could you go back to him?
I don't think he was reliable enough to trade back in.
Yep.
I'll keep it short.
Oh, oof.
New era, yeah, hey.
The last one we'll talk about on the HBF Injury Report. More news to play out over the week. But Matt Crouch obviously didn't play for the Crows last week. Gave Sid Draper some game time, who actually lost money after those 3 sub-affected games. Supercoaches were keen to potentially jump on him the next couple of weeks if he does get a run at it. I think that changes with Matt Crouch. Crouch coming back into the scene. What happens with Sid Draper, do you think, from here?
It's an interesting one. It feels like clubs, not just Adelaide, are maybe more inclined than ever to give guys. Remember when the sub rule came in that it felt like, we can't put him in the sub role for too often, for too many games? Or at least that felt like that way anecdotally. I don't know if the stats back that up. I think maybe they've reverted a little bit more to just, if there's a player that really suits that role, a burst player, if it means that they're the sub for a while, even if they are a draftee, then I can see him potentially reverting back to that role for a bit. Again, this is coming from someone that wasn't at Crows training today, so I'm sort of flying a little bit blind on that. It's just a gut feel that based on the way he plays, based on Crouch coming back in, big game against Geelong, I think that role might be for him. Again, the only caveat I would say is that I thought Luke Nankervis was really good when he came on as the sub last week. So do they find a spot for Nankervis? What do they do there? But in terms of Draper suddenly becoming this cash cow that you can jump on, I think I would hold the fort on that. That would only change, I guess, if you see him named in the 20.
Yeah, it feels like it'd be week to week too. Anyway, even if he was named this week, I wouldn't feel much confidence in that. I don't think.
And there's a few other options as well in the rookie price game as well. One I want to talk to you about a little bit later. And some big breaking injury news to finish off a big injury segment, and it's not good for Supercoaches. It's not good for Hawthorn. Will Day has been ruled out for up to 4 months with a stress fracture in his foot. Responded to opposition attention before the Hawks bye, delivered for owners despite a slow start, but 483k. He's a must trade now, unfortunately. We talk about 2 to 3 week injuries being a must trade in the new world of Supercoach with extra trades and the boost, but 3 to 4 months, absolutely have to move him on this week. It's just part of the game. Some interesting options. Now, the midfielders aren't setting a light. The premiums aren't setting the midfielder light, but for 20k or thereabouts, you can go straight to Will Ashcroft from the Lions. If you don't have much cash, you might be able to do it in one move, which could be the ultimate go ahead of gather round. 123k 3-round average for Will Ashcroft, back-to-back 130s. Yes, they played the Tigers on the weekend, but he was good against the Cats on a tough night up at the Gabba 2 weeks ago. So for 20k, turn Will Day into Will Ashcroft. And then if that doesn't work out, then Will Ashcroft with a break even in the 30s is going to rise as well. So can get you to that premium, absolute top 6 to 8 if it doesn't work out over the next month. If you do have the cash, or maybe you are making another rookie trade elsewhere, a downgrade, maybe you can get up to Andrew Brayshaw at 595k. It will cost you about 115k to go from Will Day to Brayshaw. Absolutely on fire, Andy Brayshaw. I was a little bit wrong I was skeptical about him as a premium option if he can be consistent enough. He has been so far, and the Dockers have the Tigers in the Barossa Valley on Sunday. So he's an option if you do have the money. Bit of a point of difference one. We do like the pew-pews here on the Lair. We're going to talk about him a little bit later in the show. We've all got the thoughts about him, but Sam Darcy, the questions are coming through about Sam Darcy, but he fits in now potentially to the equation. 504k, same price as Will Ashcroft. Could you do a DPP trade, bring up a Bailey Smith, Jason Horne-Francis into your midfield, go Will Day to Sam Darcy in less than 10% of teams might be the way to go and could give you a ranking spike. That's not it though. Isaac Rankine, 5 names reporting from the Matthew Nicks press conference that the superstar Crow didn't train yesterday and is in some doubt for Thursday night's blockbuster. So just keep an eye out there. Got a bit of a court calf issue. The Crows will be mindful, is what Nick said on Tuesday. We've got a couple of days. You wouldn't be trading him out, though, even if he's ruled out for the Geelong games. Probably only one if he misses it all. So keep a close eye on that. But it's not a great injury segment or good way to finish it going into such a big week. But that is a wrap on this week's injury report. Thanks to HBF. Make the smart move. Join HBF, your health dream team. Before we get into what's helped Eradicator this year, looking at Supercoach a little bit differently, not as intently as he once did. We know he never missed anything. But firstly, speaking of the rookies this week, big talking point on the Monday show was Isaiah Dudley, SSB pickup from over here. We've covered him a lot when he was overlooked in the draft and then returned to Central in the Sandful to play some good senior footy. 99K, the new age again of Supercoach prices with the extra position. We get sub 100K players back.
That.
Doesn't have to make as much, doesn't have to score as much to make money. Have you seen enough from him? Would you consider bringing in a small forward who we know is going to be inconsistent?
It's an interesting one because I've already traded out Berry.
Yep.
I've got Kako.
Yep.
And then you Dudley. So you're cycling through some guys with similar roles, I guess. The appeal, well, there's probably a couple of different appeals. 99,000.
Yeah.
Dirt cheap. Secondly, bit of a homecoming for him this week. He plays out in the Barossa.
Against the Tigers.
Against Richmond. Is it possible that he kicks a couple, gets a little bit more of it? Say it's a 75 or an 80. I don't know. Like it's one of those ones where there's a case for him this weekend that perhaps you wouldn't ordinarily look at 140,000, 125,000 player like that with a different opponent.
Only needs another decent score over the next few weeks, and his price skyrockets 46 and 64 to start his career and negative 69 break even. So doesn't need to reach the heights of some of the other rookies, the higher price rookies, to make some serious cash. Eradicator, how's your team looking? Have you got all the right rookies? Do you have Riley Bice from the Swans?
Yes,
you
got
do?
it last week on your advice. I got that one.
Bice
really
advice.
Bice advice. He looked amazing.
He did.
Actually, I watched that game, enough of that game to go like he's just feels like totally at home out there.
Yeah.
Uses the ball well,
Yep.
and looks like he's going to continue to find plenty of it. Everyone should be on board there.
The
surely.
Bice is right.
Yeah, the Bice is definitely right.
203K as well, negative 98 break even
Yeah.
this week. Have to get on if you
Yeah,
didn't
100%.
already. A question floated through here, why Eradicator has a look at his team.
Corey's in there.
Corey at the A-Team SC says, has Bice killed Matty Roberts? Should we be worried? Now, Matty Roberts looks to take a bit of a hit, didn't get as much footy, saved his game late.
Is this going to be another one of Fance's?
I thought.
This is going to be another one of Fance's.
Will
Got to
Gould.
get on
Will
this.
Gould.
Look, I'm not mentioning names. There may have been a Will Gould. Alex Witherden.
Still averaging 103 points per game, Matt Roberts. On the weekend, though, only had 20 touches, 77 Supercoach points for him.
Yeah.
Saved himself with a goal. I think it's too early.
Yeah, one can't.
Yeah, no. You wouldn't want it to become a trend.
No.
Mm.
And we know he's already got Nick Blakey to deal with there, and he didn't get his share of the kick-outs really, but he was always the go-to player from the kick-in. Riley Bice, obviously another option there as well, which might dilute it, but still.
It's a watch.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. Yeah.
You got to get Bice in.
Definitely. But you wouldn't worry. You wouldn't be trading those types sideways in those types in Matt Roberts, I don't think, just yet. You've probably got other issues. Eradicator, looking at your team now, 4 rounds in, best 22 is back. So you need that bottom end. This is where you're going to get shown up if you're bottom end, if you haven't been improving that with your early trades. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm a bit frustrated to go backwards the last couple of weeks because it's really, you should be a hover ground situation, but that's right. You can paper over a lot of cracks with the 18. So yeah, this is all about the stuff we talk about, and I guess where people potentially these last couple of years are going a few more mid prices to spread out their value of people on their 22 in these early rounds. So maybe the advantage is on them a little more. So and obviously you want as many rookies playing as possible and cash generating before we go into upgrade season.
Yep. I think it's a bit early for the upgrading too. I mean, if you've got the cash in the bank, do it, but I wouldn't be swapping or upgrading your underperforming premiums just yet. Try to get those rookies up because you will notice it more when we return to best 22 scoring.
Yeah, and it's also been a thing the last few years where, I mean, clearly the rookies who start the year on playing games are better cash cows in most instances than those come during the year when I guess injuries give them opportunities, but that might not be the same sort of thing. So it's like, getting rid of the early cash cows too early, too often can sometimes weaken your benches, which, might cost you in the back end.
But on that note, we're saying, let's be mindful of that. O'Driscoll had scored so well. What happens if it is only 2? He comes back and he can give you 85. He can give you 90, whereas your Hendersons and some of these guys, Kakos. And yet before you were insistent that if it's 2 weeks, you got to go.
I think it depends what you do with it. I guess that was the thought, keeping Sardis, keeping Xavier Lindsay on your bench. Can you do it with O'Driscoll as well? He's reached 300K now, made 100K. We know the mark is 150 is what we want to get, but
but he's more likely to score.
He is more
those
likely
guys.
to score. But then potentially, put him as, I don't know when the Dockers are playing this week, but if you put him as like the loop from the bench and your bench guy scores all right, just keep him another week and just you're a little closer to the answer there. And maybe that might save you a trade and get more of O'Driscoll on the other side.
A few questions coming in on next here about Ryan Marrick for some super coaches who didn't jump on last week. Did you both do that? The Eagles forward midfield turn defender, kick-in king, Eradicator shaking his head, didn't get on?
I did.
Yep.
I brought in Marrick, Humphrey and Moraes.
Yep.
And traded out 3 players whose names aren't coming to me at the moment.
So Eradicator didn't go there. My answer to the question coming through about, I don't think it's too late. 320K, negative 19 break even. He's still cheap enough and got enough jump in him to be that stepping stone option is why I traded him in last week. Get him for the scoring when best 22 returns at bottom end, but also give him 3, 4, 5 weeks and then he's going to be at full and premium level to make a swap if it doesn't continue. But you watch that game on Sunday, the Eagles and the Giants, looks a bit like Luke Ryan in terms of what he does. Kick-ins, kick it long, was taking one step out of the square to take a 20-metre kick. So doing all the right things in Supercoach. I still think it's worth going. Could you trade an O'Driscoll potentially to Marrick?
Yeah, you could totally do that. Yeah, that would make complete sense to do that. I might still look at that.
Yeah, I think it's given what he does twofold. Scored 88 on the weekend. No Eagle. They were dominated for obviously on the scoreboard. Then total Supercoach points to the Giants as well. So the role was there. Kicking was there. Scored 50 in the first half. Just tailed off as they got absolutely steamrolled in the second half. At 320K, I think still definitely worth it. Agree, Hipster?
Yeah. No. It was only a few weeks ago that I was saying, don't want to follow the crowd and all of that. Got sucked in with an earlier trade, which I really regret, with Finn Callaghan the week before, because the 2 other players that are around his price was Saligo, who Erad's got, and Will Ashcroft, that a lot of guys have got. I think he's in 26% of teams, and I went alternate to that, and it's not paid off at all. And he's one that I know you said, look, don't upgrade your premium, upgrade your blokes that are struggling, but it's just like, it's going to be very tempting to jump off him quickly.
Yeah, well, good segue. He's the 3rd most traded out player as we speak here on Tuesday, Finn Callaghan.
The theory was that they were playing West Coast, so don't trade him out before he plays West Coast. That theory was debunked pretty quickly.
St Kilda this week, Nord Oval.
The club that offered him,
17 mil.
Yeah, a lot of money. Does he rise to the occasion for that, or is he just not quite there yet as a Supercoach scorer, while Jake Saligo has become the metronome hundreds Crows midfielder, and Ashcroft is no dissimilar at Brisbane. I think he was their top scorer on the weekend. It's hard. It's when guys don't have the runs on the board.
Yeah.
When Lachie Neale he's had two out of 3 bad ones to start the year, Lachie Neale, the wheel's going to turn with Lachie Neale. You don't know that with a Finn Callaghan or some other underperforming guys that haven't got that history.
St Kilda this week, we said Marcus Winhager potentially could go to him, did the job. The Saints did the job on Connor Rozee, the Port skipper, on Sunday. Could that happen again? Obviously, a lot of prime movers in that Giants side, so could go to like a midfielder half back, but usually a midfield tagger, Marcus Winhager. So it could be Finn Callaghan, given how he's been shut down in the past couple of weeks. Eradicator, what do you think, just in terms of trading a player that Hipster's just described, 440k now, thought he was going to raise his game into that top 8 conversation of Supercoach midfielders. Now there's question marks if he can do that. 440k, this point of the year, I still think you should be addressing bigger problems than trading out Finn Callaghan. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I would lean in that direction as well. It's like, I feel like it's fix the bottom scoring parts of your team up first and work your way up that way. And I can totally understand, especially with there were so many changes at the Giants and maybe the expectation of where it would be and is not aligning. But, you know.
Great preseason as well.
All of that. And we still have a small sample size, I guess. And like, you know, and sometimes roles subtly change, or I don't even know, midfield time last week or whatever, because they're playing West Coast.
He's just got a lot more attention.
Yeah.
So he had that really good opening round, good round one. I then jump on, and then down in that Hawthorn game, they were, rather than target Tom Green, they were all over Finn Callaghan.
Yeah. But see, you play better teams. Better teams perhaps don't even bother doing that. They just play their team defense against the midfield. Or maybe not.
That was the Hawks.
Yeah.
So it's a hard one because you feel like if you don't trade and it doesn't come good, you're losing 30 points to those guys that could have got in. And then if you do trade, obviously the risk is that he does come good. So that's the game, isn't it, really?
And the other part of the game is once you've made the trade, just accept your decision-making process for making it and not
I've been better at that this season.
Good. This is good.
Yeah.
This is a good improvement area for the Hipster.
Yeah.
What about Connor Rozee? So Callaghan the third most traded out, Rozee the fifth at the moment. 2 big Supercoach tons to start the year, 64 and 76 in the next 2 games. Supercoaches are asking the question there too. Similar price bracket, 511.
More runs on the board than Callaghan,
Yep.
so clearly not the Neil runs on the board. I also think with Rozee, I mean, if Port are going to show anything, it has to be all eyes on this game. Gather around. You're the captain. Your team's 1 and 3. You could, with the draw they've got coming up, they're going to be right up against it to even threaten to make the 8 if they don't show something in the next week or 2. Starts at gather around, big game against Hawthorn, grudge match, all of that. You would be expecting, I'm not saying this results in 100, but you would be expecting if there's a game that Connor Rozee is going to just have a little bit more of a say on, it'd be this week.
If Sam Mitchell does pull out Finn McGuinness as well to tag, which he hadn't been doing a lot of, did against Finn Callaghan, what would they do? Do you think they'd go back to Rozee given what happened on the weekend, or would you go to Horn Francis given what happened on the weekend, or is Zach Butters now 2 weeks back in? It's not automatically Rozee again, is it?
I'd probably go to Rozee if it has just worked. I don't know. I mean, I would be worried about that, obviously, if I was,
Yeah, not sure.
I don't know.
Port has got options.
Yeah.
But at the moment, the options aren't clicking in the same at the same time.
And at the other side of the court, he can score quicker than most other players. Like if he just has a hot 10 minutes, he can score ridiculously quickly.
Yeah.
And you're right. They have to find something that feels like it's a big like line in the sand round for them in terms of the context of the entire season and where they're at. So hold and hope that changes.
I'm not an owner, but I would be holding.
Yeah, me too. Connor at Dolan's Dominator, a question about strategy, a little bit different, with a bit of a clip as well to the new age Lair too, which we love. Is it worth downgrading slow burner rooks if you burnt through a lot of trades already? can help upgrade a mid-pricer to a primo from this. Similar to a 5 names down to Hipster and Chief up to the Eradicator.
Bang.
So 1 down, 1
I'll
up.
take that.
Connor knows where
Painting the fence.
the Lair began. But obviously, so,
Thanks, Connor.
might be talking about, Connor Stone, for example, on the bench in the forward
Do
line.
you think that came from Connor Stone?
We might be talking about his namesake, Connor Stone.
Oh, right. Sorry.
He went up 10K on the weekend, 166K. He's been traded out by 3,000 Supercoach teams. Break-even's 24. He's making slow money. Sullivan might be back in this week, was out sick last week. Going to be a great player, just not getting enough of the ball to impact Supercoach-wise. His cash gen is slow too. So I guess Connor's asking, is it worth trading down to a Dudley or to a Clay Hall from the Eagles, who has got the lowest break-even of all midfielders?
What can you tell us about Clay Hall?
He's an interesting one.
It sounds like a venue, like an old venue made out of clay, and they host,
What are they
a
hosting?
70th birthday party or something in this clay hall.
Yeah. Or Morris dancing.
Yeah,
Depends
exactly.
how old it is.
Yeah.
He was a bigger body midfielder who had some senior experience last year, and it's shown by the way he's won the footy in his first 2 games, 25 contested possessions in his 2 games
Wow.
this season, but in between he was dropped. So he had 14 contested possessions, I think, against Brisbane in round 2, was dropped the week after. Back in on the weekend, had 11 contested possessions, 15 handballs.
So we're a little worried about job security.
I think so. But again, if he's having a crack and winning the footy in that side, surely they got to persist with him. I like him as an option if you do see him named on the weekend. So as a midfield downgrade option, but he's not a must. I don't think Connor needs to force the trade. But again, if he's talking about upgrading a mid-pricer to a premium, I mean, he's improving that part of it. We've all said here, though, you might be talking about a Finn Callaghan. You might be talking about, Sam de Koning, who I've toyed up, considered trading to. You traded him last week, Hipster.
He was one of the guys I traded, and then obviously gets a 90-odd. Yeah, little frustrating, but what do you do? He's not going to kick a goal from playing in defence every week.
Yep.
And I kept Miller instead because he was cheaper. It was going to be a little bit different. Miller started like a house on fire and then barely scored in the second half.
Yep. Well, I think he said if you've burnt through a lot of trades already, so Connor's already used a lot of trades, maybe a couple of boosts.
Yeah. How many trades should we have used by now? Well, how many trades have you guys used? Because I'm doing what I usually do, and that's forgetting that you need trades at the end of the season, and I've basically used 3 a week, including boosts. Just get rid of them.
So what do you?
Sell them.
I'm down, which we spoke about over the preseason. We learnt last you got to go aggressive. People, you're going to fall
Yeah,
behind.
definitely.
I'm down to 33.
Yeah. 33.
31.
So I haven't used.
31 for me.
I haven't
What do you
used.
do?
What do you do?
I haven't used
Can't
as
get
many
them back.
as some other. I'm not against that either.
Yeah.
But if you've burnt through 3 boosts already,
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't be trading again.
Also, we started with 30 a few years ago
Yeah.
as the total trade. So it's not like anything we're used to. And so there's a conservative mindset that doesn't really need to be there anymore. And 33 is
Agree.
still a lot of trades.
how many
Yep.
boosts do you get?
Yeah.
5.
5, yeah.
Well, I'm down to,
You used 3.
I've used 3.
Yep. So I've used 2, and I liked. I'm not against exhausting your boost by the halfway point, but I'd like to use if you use 3 leading up to the buys in the middle of the upgrade season to speed up that process. Then
Yeah.
I don't want to use now just swapping rookies out and all that in right now. I want to.
But then what value does a rookie have who's not really going to cash gen that much? How
not
many
much.
times are they actually going to sit on your field? Because during this time of the year where, like you say, we're in a trading arms race, so they're probably not adding any support value underneath. They're not really growing that
Like
much
a
in
Henderson.
price. And it's like,
Yeah.
From Melbourne.
Yeah.
If he plays as your emergency to cover or during your buys, he's getting you 30.
Yeah.
But if you use some sort of money to get rid of him and then upgrade at the top
and
end,
do something else the other way. It's like, yeah, that's still worth it.
Yeah, I think try to get those, Elijah Hewitt's not in the team.
Yeah.
Lucas Campriali not in the team as well. We've still got those guys sitting there. Yes, they're not priced as high, but they're doing even less to what you said. So consider moving them on first as well. Adam Bucker says, special having the hipster back. Martin Lovett, also with a Leonardo DiCaprio gift as well. Very excited. So the fans are there.
It's a bit much, Leo.
A couple of questions here. One from...
Consider myself more of like a, background actor, if anything.
Jimmy says, is Sam Darcy a legitimate target?
Has to be.
And
I think he has to be.
This week...
Yep.
I agree.
The days of being frightened by a key forward, I think those sort of players were different era players to what Thilthorpe and Darcy are.
Definitely.
So, all right, Tom Lynch. Oh, can we trust Tom Lynch? Can we trust Jack Reebok? Can we trust Tomahawk? Half these guys weren't rucking for a start. So their point spread was very different. Thilthorpe's spending games in the ruck. Darcy's spending games in the ruck. So you can rely on them a little bit more like quasi Luke Jackson, except Jackson clearly a better ruckman. These guys are clearly better forwards.
Yeah.
I think he has to be. What's his price at the moment?
So he's 504. Last 3 weeks, 117, 125, 141. The third ranked Supercoach forward for the year in 8.5% of teams with an average of 115, 3-round average of 128.
We don't know what's happening with Jamara either. So I remember there was a couple of games last year where it was like, okay, they got Darcy, they got Jamara, they got Norton. Is there a bit of overlap? Who's the target? One of those players isn't there at the moment. And the other one, Darcy, had shown signs of this last season, but he's now become like a proper... I've seen a few of these go around at the moment about the old, if you started the competition again and we're picking a player right now to start a franchise, like there'd be clubs picking Sam Darcy.
Yeah, well, you can't beat him on the air. In the air, you can't beat him on the ground either. He had 21
Kicks
touches
both feet.
And was ridiculous on the ground for a bloke of his
Kicks
size.
with both feet.
Yep.
And pretty accurate.
Yep. 5 straight on the weekends. Well, obviously talking about field kicking too.
No, I was talking about his goal kicking.
Yep.
So that helps in Supercoach. So that's, again, not saying I'll do it. I don't know how you guys are placed, but I've struggled compared to recent years to actually get enough guys that are dual positions at the moment. So I know you've got the flex that you can switch, but it's sort of limiting me at the moment. So I might not have the capacity to get him in, but I think if there's teams looking to bring in a forward or use the flex position to switch someone over, there can't be many better forwards, better value than him at the moment, apart from my guy, Riley Thilthorpe.
Well, he's only Lockie Whitfield, Hugh McCluggage and Jack Sinclair have scored more points than him in the past 3 rounds of any player in Supercoach, any position. It's just, how do you go about getting him? Where do you do it? Obviously, our Supercoach forward line is looking pretty similar. You got your Sam Davidson as well. Everyone seems to be playing on field after that big 100 a couple of weeks ago.
Scored poorly on the weekend.
He did. Also, though, DPP changes coming in after the other round.
That's earlier this year.
Yep, 1 week early. If all goes well, at the moment sitting above the threshold needed, Christian Petrarca and Chad Warner both could be forwards by this time next week. Now, both a little bit down. We talked about it on the Monday show.
Darcy's just a straightforward.
Straightforward.
Yeah, okay.
So that makes it, how many spots do you need?
Yeah.
You've got Isaac Rankine. Well, 18,000 people trade out Jason Horne-Francis after his 150, the horny one.
There he is again, the horny one.
Our favourite button here on the show. Now, Rankine, Horne-Francis, it's my team, McRae, Bailey Smith, Caleb Daniel, Sam Davidson. Again, is Caleb Daniel ready to go? Probably not. Sam Davidson ready to go? Probably not yet. You've got a few guys you probably want to get in there. I mean, your super coaches are probably going to flock more to those big names in Petrarca and Warner. So I like Darcy, especially given the way those two are scoring. I like Sam Darcy as a pod anyway, but if you had to choose between Petrarca and Warner over the next couple of weeks, what would you do?
Very topical players at the moment. Probably Petrarca only because I had Warner last year and he was a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah. I said Warner on the Monday show only because how long does it take? Like, does Petrarca eventually get back to playing in the midfield full time? Not sure. Warner's going to be frustrating, but he's going to probably give you a big score.
Yeah, he'll get you I rode this last year. He'll get you a 160 and then the next week he'll get 50. And then the next week he'll get 60. The variance feels I don't know. The variance of those sort of guys is frustrating because the average ends up being 105 or something, but it's like, well, they'll lose you a league week or something.
Yeah.
They can win you one, but they'll lose you one. You'd rather the guy that's just Jake Saligo 105, 105, 105 rather than 160, 50.
What I would potentially consider this week, could you play Horn Francis or Caleb Daniel, Bailey Smith, DPP players in the midfield, trade O'Driscoll to say Sam Darcy?
That's totally a way to kind of build it up, knowing they're going to end up back there anyway. Just where
break even
the value
36
is.
for Sam Darcy. So he's not going to get him this cheap.
Yeah.
I'll just talk myself into it.
You're talking me into it, and that's always a worry when you and I are talking in
pew pew
ourselves language.
So he 8.5% of teams. He qualifies for the original hipster guidelines. But to finish off, do you have?
You asked me this question before.
Well, I'll ask Eradicate another question too. But we do want a old school pew pew shooting from the hip from you.
Yes,
and also. Gather Round is here. Big week in South Australia. We are going to be out and about on Thursday and Friday. So if you do see the Supercoach t-shirt, come up, say hello, let us know what you're doing in Supercoach this week. But Eradicator, what would you tell someone coming from interstate? Where do they need to go in Adelaide? One thing, one place, one thing to do, one thing to eat, whatever. One thing besides, maybe hit you up and talk to you about your books and maybe buy something online. You can spill that too. You can use it. What do you reckon our great city? Because we know Jack Higgins, the St Kilda forward, so he didn't like Adelaide publicly. Darcy Fogarty from the Crows defended the state. You got anything for the loyal Lair listeners who've tuned in for the OG show?
Yeah, well, I'll do it about a book tie-in thing, which I did write one series about action in and around the parade. The parade's a beautiful strip. There is a game there as well, obviously, and Two games there. Yeah. Parade's awesome. And so it's just, a really nice kind of inner suburban strip of shops and cafes and a few pubs as well. And really good spot.
Yep. And now, before Hipster's still deciding, we know he likes to go the 3 or 4 names just to give himself some fallbacks. Probably got one for us, but do you want to give us a spiel about your book? You are obviously an international best-selling author.
Stopper.
You've moved on from the Phantoms, Lair. You haven't ditched us. You've got a lot on your plate. Quickly, where can we get and what can we expect from the Eradicator this year?
Well, I got a couple of new books coming out. I was very lucky that Zambies, which is my new horror comedy about technology going bad, won a bronze medal at the Wishing Shelf Book Awards, UK Book Awards. Thank you very much, which I'm very stoked about. So the sequel, Getting Plutoed, will be out mid-year, as well as the third book in the Parade series, which is Rain on the Parade. So they'll be both coming out in June.
Matt Pike as well.
Yes.
Real name, Matt Pike, the Eradicator. So look him up now. But Hipster, what have you got for us? Shooting from the hip.
Well, we might as well. We've brought the old gang back together.
Oh, no.
You got to go back to your old gang, your old faithful. Bring back a favourite.
Oh, no.
You know who this is going to be.
I don't. I'm worried.
One of the original Shooting from the Hips. When you didn't we get a
Darcy McPherson?
He only remembers the bad ones.
Yeah.
He never remembers that I was on the Jordan Ridley train well before him or anyone. Clayton Oliver and all of these.
Do remember that?
No, I'll give you Clayton Oliver.
will you give me Touk Miller?
Oh,
He was
yep.
the first to call.
1% of teams.
I heard the umpire on the mic call him Took on the weekend.
Yeah,
I thought of you.
I would probably drop him for that.
Could be the same umpire as well.
If it was the same one that gave the Rankine one away, then that's just double trouble.
No, I like this.
Different role.
Yeah.
More half forward. But you know what I looked back at halfway through the game when I thought, so what's happened to him the last few years? Because he was just I talked about these metronome Saligos becoming one of these. I looked at him the last couple of years. I thought, what? Why has he gone away from that? And then you look back, he's always got injured. It's been injury that's disrupted his years the last 2 seasons. 2023, he missed a large chunk of the year. 2024 starts with 300s and has a bye, 89, 133, 188. 88, 149, 93, 122. Then he's missing games again at the back end of the year. There's a sub effect to 33. His scores when he actually plays are excellent.
And with his running, and it's like now you're not planning to how you tackle Touk Miller when you go and play Gold Coast. So his running becomes extra room to get him into space because he's just not the centre of where you'd try to prepare against the Gold Coast.
Exactly. And the team being better means that Raul, Anderson a little bit better, the better players around him. You know, do teams put a bit of time into Dan Rioli, who I'm sure some teams might look at this week as a bit of a pod option in defence. And while I'm on that
was a unique name with 5 names. On Monday's show did go with Dan Rioli.
Yeah. Shows how much I listen to the show these days.
That was so pew-pew.
I prefer in defence if I'm going to throw up a defender.
Oh, here you go. He's got his 3 or 4s to pull back up.
Well, you got to sprinkle him. I can't remember if I brought him in right at the end last year or was just really thinking about Jordan Clark. Breakout last year as a Supercoach player, 8.8% of teams. Has tonned up in every game so far for Freo. Again, he's one of those guys that you don't look at and go, oh, geez, I would like Jordan Clark in my team. But speaking of that variance before, guys that are just a low hundreds, but just hundreds, they are worth their weight in gold because they won't let you down.
Richmond and Melbourne in the next 2 for the Dockers too.
The issue with Richmond is going to be, is the ball even going to get down there?
The Crows.
That's the only concern.
Then the Saints as well after the Crows. So great month
Good run.
for the Dockers. I do like that.
I wouldn't be calling the Saints
a different
part
team
of a good run now. They used to be my whipping boy back in the day. Remember this? Remember
Sour Milk?
Saints and Sour Milk. Jeez.
Still haven't done anything since then, have they?
Sour Milk.
Oh, the Saints.
He might get a game at Melbourne soon.
Ooh. Got anything for the interstate travellers or the people coming over? We know we've got a lot of loyal Lair listeners from Victoria coming over.
Yeah.
What should they do? Where should they go? One thing.
It's always a tough one. I normally throw up Anchovy Bandit.
Yep.
For this.
Do it again.
Great pizza joint, Prospect Road, and lovely staff. Just a beautiful pizza, but more of a pizza bar vibe. So you can sit at the bar and have some drinks. You can just go in a booth and have some drinks. Great food.
Might see a hipster walking around somewhere.
You might.
Well, you'll be having a free pizza now after this.
but it's also, just geographically, if you sort of think of the next suburbs over in Melbourne, you obviously, your Fitzroy's and that. It's north of North Adelaide, and Adelaide Oval's in North Adelaide, so it's not that far to kick on into Prospect.
Yep, very good. Mine would be to check out Peel Street at night.
Yep.
For after the footy, even during the day, for some of Adelaide's best coffee. We know we like to get down there, La Mocha. So we'll give them a shout out.
Hey.
Plenty to do. Jack Higgins isn't right. Hopefully he should get out and see it for himself. But a big week in South Australia. Big week on the Lair. The OGs are back. Thank you, Hipster. It's been a pleasure. Eradicator, thank you for coming back. Good luck.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being a friend.
In 2025. Back on the... Now, I can sense it. He's just talking about how things just pulled him back in a little bit to the glint in his eye. He'll be back on the Lair, sitting next to 5 names next week, I reckon.
Think so.
At some point.
No,
but
5 names he's the man now.
again, a live show coming up some point Thursday or Friday as well. Another Lair, third Lair for the week. Some special guests
killing it
involved there. So look out for that.
Can you give
of course,
a teaser as to who the special guests are?
still working on it, but we will.
A couple of quackers or something.
We'll have something, of course. Like and subscribe on the Code Sports YouTube channel. Leave us a comment as well wherever you listen to the podcast version as well. We want your feedback. We love your feedback, and we'll take it on board. We'll see you next time on the Lair. Turner, Hipster, Eradicator. Until next time.
I agree.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.